All right, folks. Welcome to what'll be a full blown Friday Night Live after last week's little cheat. I am back in town. Have been back in town after Self Reliance Festival, and I've been running nonstop. So I got a lot to cover, and got a lot to share with you guys. So let's see. Quick bookkeeping. If you're in the Knoxville area, I've got a teaching event, a teaching opportunity that's coming Monday. Just look in the show notes. It's with an organization called CHIO Knoxville. That is a conglomeration of holistic health practitioners and other businesses related to that. And I will be teaching a class about small space production. In this case, really small space production. So we're going to get into sprouting, microgreens, crack key hydroponics, and container gardening. A lot of people who are in this organization and or the ones who attend the classes live in townhouses or even apartments and have small patios. So I have put together something to supply them with several methodologies to get more calories off of a small footprint. Uh, and I've put this together as a slides. So if you're not gonna be able to make it and you just want to see the slides, and maybe you want to make a donation or something like that, you guys know how to get a hold of me. Let's see. We're having some really wild weather. I'm a little bit distracted by it. Like the sun will come out and then it'll go away, and then the wind kicks up really big, and stuff is like slapping the side of the building. The metal building is ticking, so if you guys hear that in the background, oh well. And I've got, and then all of a sudden, a big rain cloud will pass over, and piss poor rain for about 2 minutes, and then go away. So it's noisy out there. Um, I did not have much of a chance to put together really thorough notes. So if I'm a bit scattered tonight, I apologize. But like every day, I'm just going to do the best I can. So, oh yeah, one other housekeeping. I'm going to be doing a wild edible foraging webinar for Nicole Sauce through the Living Free in Tennessee website and podcast. That will be, oh darn it, the 19th. That doesn't sound right. Maybe I'll throw it in the show notes. Uh, but I will be, it'll be a live webinar, but it'll also be recorded. I've put together some slides for that. And I'm actually still working on that. I think I want to go for a slightly different angle than what I normally do, being an online thing. I'm used to just walking around in the woods and the fields with people. And, anybody can pull up a photo of something and say, hey, you can eat this. So I'm going back to see where I can expand upon this and make it a little more valuable and useful to folks. All right, Self Reliance Festival. Self Reliance Festival was last week. I was gone from Friday through Monday. Got back in town in the evening on Monday, and I think this was my favorite one yet. I've enjoyed all of them. This was the first time I've been able to go to one where I did not have something go completely sideways at home right before going out of town, and where I also felt reasonably caught up on things before going out of town. Spring is just so busy for me, and I feel like this one might be the busiest. Sometimes it feels like I'm trying to keep too much stuff in my head at one time, even though I put everything on my calendar and I make notes and I document everything. I kind of have a little bit of this like uh, grinding of gears in my head. But in this case, I had everything squared away as much as possible. I had jobs caught up. I had sheep in a big enough paddock. I had, all that stuff squared away so that um, when I was gone, it wouldn't be too difficult for Angel to keep tabs on things. Mostly, I just needed her to water what's in the greenhouse. So the festival was wonderful. I think I didn't really get a sense of the attendance but it was smaller, and I think it's just the time of the year. I've noticed this since we've been doing this for a few years now. The spring one has a slightly lower attendance than the one in the fall because we're just all getting after it in the spring. So we I went out there Friday night and enjoyed some conversation with folks, with some of the other speakers and presenters. The folks who were camping, most of them were coming in and getting set up, and we had a little kind of charcuterie and little kind of communal meal there on Friday evening. And I think one of the reasons why this one was such a good one for me was I decided to stay off site. My friend Melissa White lives nearby in Waverly, and anytime on that end of the state, she always offers me the room, the bedroom. So I took her up on that offer because I have discovered that camping after 40 is not like camping in the 20s or even in the 30s. So it doesn't really matter how good of an air mattress I have or any of those things. I just don't sleep that well. There's a lot of ambient noise. There's a lot of light out there. John keeps that facility really well lit for, I'm sure, security reasons, which is 100% valid. And even with, I remember last time I made a bandana mask, and that helped a little bit, but I just don't sleep super great in those situations. And for me to have really good people energy, I have to be able to sleep well. So I traded off where I would just not stay as late at the event, drive the half hour to Waverly, rest, relax, get a really good shower, sleep really well, and then just get up a little early the next morning. And that worked out really well. And that is probably what I will continue to do for future events. As long as Melissa will have me. She's a wonderful host. While I'm at it, since we're talking about Melissa, who is a very good friend, Melissa runs her own mercantile shop called Honeybees, Honeybees Kitchen and Mercantile. Let me throw that in the comments here. And if you just pull her page up, I don't know why my keyboard is being so slow. If you pull her page up on Facebook, you will be able to order her custom spice mixes. She's doing like natural laundry detergents now. She's doing freeze-dried food. She's doing freeze-dried dog treats like chicken livers and chicken feet and things like that. So she's a member of the community. You guys support her. If you are, if you fancy yourself any kind of kitchen person, check in with her. You can pull that up on Facebook and you can communicate with her through there. And if you have, I don't expect you would have trouble getting a hold of her, but if you did, let me know and I'll facilitate it. She's a wonderful lady, and I'm proud of everything that she's been doing. She recently got some of her products into the Thrive Market, which is a shop in Dixon. So she's getting after it, and I'm all about it. So Friday was just kind of a chill thing. Saturday is kind of the big full day, and I'm not really, frankly, going to remember everything that I did, but I know I was able to spend quality time with Brian and Corey from the Lots Project, Toolman Tim, Mr. Off-Grid Ping was there doing chainsaw demo, and oh my goodness, who else? A gentleman named Alan Booker, who is a large-scale permaculture designer, engineer, systems thinker, really brilliant guy. We had a very interesting conversation on Friday night. I wanted to get his input about the wide scoped view of development in our country, and does he see it going towards are we working towards doing things in a more sustainable way, or are we just going to do endless development until the resources run out or it just becomes too expensive and too impractical to do so? And Alan, his position on it, he's seen about 10% of development taking a smarter design, meaning more energy efficiency in the structures and not just standard landscaping, less of shunting a bunch of water off of an impermeable surface and more of keeping water in the ground and not exporting soil and exporting nutrient into the nearest waterway. So that is a gentleman I'll definitely be keeping up with because I could learn quite a bit from him. He's older than me. He's been around. He's seen a lot, and I can certainly benefit from that. Uh, Got to catch up with Nick Ferguson. He did his fodder tree presentation. Picked up a little bit more of a direction on that because I just recently planted 36 of his fodder trees, and all of them are doing well. Every single one has got little baby leaves coming on them. I'm going to feel bad if I forget people, and I know I'm going to. Oh, speaking of Margot, Margot is there. Thank you for dropping in, Margot. We got to catch up a little bit. Dawn Sutton, who runs like the communication tent, the community connection tent, she was there. I am not going to remember to list all this off right now, but I will say that I actually spent this festival more so milling about and not as much sitting through presentations. I caught partials of some, and I attended all of a couple, but I felt like this was the time to be out and talking to people. I had the people energy, so I put it to work. The so the the way the schedule was set up, I was on the schedule as offering uh, wild, edible, and foraging walks, but there was not a time assigned, so I got to pick out when I wanted to do it. And uh, when I first started it, I looked around. It looked like I had about 10 people with me, and about 5 minutes in, at some point, I turned around and there was like 30 people coming along for this. So that was that I really appreciated that many people showed interest, and we really had a good time. So we took about an hour. And I kind of, at this point, I kind of have a little bit of this route through the campground area at SOE where I will take people. Although, things are always kind of changing a little bit. And of course, what we find in spring is different than what we find in October. But I mean, just in a little bit of time that I kind of scouted ahead, I had 40 different things listed to show. So I think I've still got my list here. Let's see what I picked out. Of course, I like to start people with things that are. I mean, I like to, if I'm assuming that maybe nobody in that class has ever really done any of this before, I like to pick out stuff that is harmless and not easy to mistake for something else, and are kind of readily available. Mostly, I mean, just by the general public considered to be weeds. So that was things like wood sorrel, cinquefoil, greenbrier, dandelion, chickweed, goldenrod, wild geranium. There was elderberry there. There was staghorn sumac, lyre-leaf sage, honeysuckle, black cherry / wild cherry, something out there called butterweed. I actually need to learn more about that one. It was just something that was blooming yellow everywhere. I couldn't really find any uses for it, but it really stood out as a early spring wildflower. And Margo says, I think there's more than 30 people. We fell out towards the end. There were too many people to hear you. Yeah. I had a small fail on my part. I actually bought this little personal amplifier thing. A little pins to your label. You got a little speaker that sits on your belt. And it stayed in my workshop here in town when I left. Normally when I do these classes, especially the ones that people come and they pay for, I keep it to about 10 people. That seems to fit the pace and everybody can hear me because I have a hard time projecting my voice. And absolutely next time my little amplifier will come along so folks can hear me. I just I'm just not naturally a very loud person. I have to work hard to be loud, and I'll also lose my voice rather quickly. Margo was also asking the plant that tasted like lemonade, the sumac. So that can be wing sumac, staghorn sumac, smooth sumac. They have the little clusters of red berries. If you soak those in lukewarm water or make it like a sun tea. Don't boil it. It makes like a pink lemonade. It is tart. If you get, and you have to kind of get these berries sort of early in the season. We found them, of course, after an entire winter, and they still had a little bit of flavor, but they pack a punch in late summer and early fall before they've been rained on a bunch. So yeah, look at your those sumacs, and if you're ever concerned about confusing them with poison sumac. Poison sumac berries are always white. They're always kind of a waxy white color. Any red berried sumac, you ought to be good to go. Um, but of course, I'm going to preface that with, or follow that with, get your really good guide. Get Samuel Thayer's guide, and that lays it out as clear as day, and you can be confident in your identification that way. Um, the sumac is really good. I make the drink when it comes around. That is one of the things I do find time to go uh, grab those berries and make a drink. And you can just snap off the whole berry cluster. You don't have to try to separate the berries. As long as you're not getting that water too hot, you're not going to transfer any bitterness from the stem and everything. And you can just use a strainer or a cheesecloth to clean the berries out. Um, it's kind of interesting. There's several things that come up this time of year that are kind of tart, and wood sorrel is another one. It's a little wild edible that at a glance people will often say looks like clover, but it's a little uh, it's little heart shaped leaves in triplets, with a little yellow flower, sometimes even a pink flower, but most of the ones around here are yellow flowers, and it's really good. It's really good. So yeah, it is. We're still within that time for your wild spring greens. Hippocrates Garden has joined the chat. It's good to hear from you. He says, I picked up one of the JBL battery powered PA speakers for outdoor type stuff. Yeah, since I haven't unboxed this thing yet, maybe I'll do an unboxing video at some point. That was one thing of in my scramble to get ready to go, it just got left behind. So yeah, that class was wonderful. The Saturday class was well attended. I got a lot of good feedback. Spoke with a lot of people. Some of us went back to the table, and I showed them the books that I like, and so Sam, if you ever find this video, I am helping to sell your books, and I'm more than happy to do it. And I'm not even set up as an affiliate because I don't care. The books are that good, and I've got every single one that he's written, and I don't think that's going to be topped. I don't think these books are going to be topped. We covered some trees too. The junipers and the shagbark hickory. And of course, there's lots of oaks out there, various oaks, the pines have all kinds of uses. So, it's kind of funny. Sometimes when I start setting up for one of these classes, I always worry, like, am I going to have enough stuff to show? And what actually ends up happening is I have to pick what I really want to focus on, because there's more than I could show for hours. So that was a good portion of Saturday. Stayed and enjoyed the dinner with the other presenters. They had a really, really amazing dinner, and I got a second serving. And about 20 minutes after eating that second serving, I was trying to hang out by the campfire. I really wanted to hang out with people for a little while, but I felt every last ounce of energy I had remaining go into digesting my food. And I was like, man, I am pooped, and I've still got to drive a half hour in the dark to Waverly. So I headed on out Saturday. Sunday was slightly shorter in terms of the event wraps up a little earlier, but we did a second foraging class on in that morning, and I also had a couple of people come along with me on the route that I was making for the Monday foraging class. We'll get to that in a second. So caught actually, I think it was on Saturday, but I caught Becky Cook's presentation on growing her daycare business. Super proud of those folks. Tim and Becky are fantastic people. Their daughters, their youngest daughters, are probably the most mature and well spoken 14-year-olds I've ever met. Actually, most people, let me take that back. Most of the young people that I am meeting through these preparedness and homesteading events, most of those kids really have it together. They are remarkably like turned on to what's going on in the world and how they want to coordinate their lives. So uh, that's uh, that's really encouraging. I know there's a lot of dunking on generational stuff, and I really try to steer clear of that because I'm meeting some really smart, really cool young adults at this point. Uh, so yeah, we did the second class, um, and I put my route together for Monday. I remember something I wanted to relay about the some of the vendors there. There were a number of excellent vendors at this event. One is a company called Rockpot. I go to rockpot.com. This is an off grid cooking system that kind of works. It basically looks just like a crock pot or an Instapot. They've got this stone that you can heat up to like 700 degrees. You put this stone, it nests down into like your external crock pot. You put the cooker pot on top, and then it's got like a little insulating cover. And you can cook, basically slow cook practically anything in this system. And you can heat, so you can heat this stone up in a campfire. They said you could heat it up on a range, on a gas range, or I think even an electric range, if you needed to. So if you needed to travel, so you could heat this in advance, take it with you. It was a really cool product, and I pulled it up. And when Angel gets back in town, we're going to take a closer look at this. This might be something worth adding to our systems out here because basically we could in the wintertime heat the stone in the wood stove and then cook our uh, our dinner without using any of the electricity, which of course is in shorter supply on this off-grid system in the wintertime. And it was like $250. It had all these accessories with it. It had a hook to handle the stone, and I mean, it was. I didn't get to really talk to the people, even though they were in the booth next to Tim and Becky where I was hanging out. Um, but I more so Melissa told me about it later, and they uh, they kept trying to like they were making all these meals and stuff to demonstrate this pot, and they every time I turned around they were trying to feed me another meal, and I kept declining, and I felt bad, but every time I had just eaten something. So everybody said it was wonderful. So yeah, take a look at Rockpot if you need like off-grid cooking solutions or emergency cooking. um that's that's worth looking at. So Hippocrates says that Grumpy Acres has a discount code for the Rock Pot. So yeah, pull up Grumpy Acres. They've got their own YouTube channel, right? I'm sure they do. Um, and uh, yeah, yeah, their food was good. Chef Brett's food was good. I kind of split my time between the both of them. I never go hungry at these events. Always happy to support those people. And I actually got to talk to Darren for a while with Grumpy Acres. It was one of those things where we kept being at the same events together, but we had never really talked at length at any of those events. So we actually took about 20 minutes and stepped up to the side and just, I told him what I was up to. He was telling me what he was up to. They're out in Kansas. I'm probably never really going to be out that way, but they've got a cool thing going on out there with Tag and Life Done Free and those folks with all of their different community building efforts. So it was, yeah, the food was good. The rock pot was cool. Also, my friend Sean, Sean and Jess of the Off Grid and Growing YouTube channel, they were there. And Sean was there as one of the representatives of a company called Landstruck. Drink break. Landstruck is it's owner financed raw land. And that's how Sean and Jess found their land, was through this gentleman. And so they were there. They had their own tent. And so if you're looking for raw land to build your off-grid, systems. That might be one worth looking into. I mean, I know they're in East Tennessee, East and Middle Tennessee. I'm not sure how far out they are, but that might be worth considering. Um, and they also had this really neat device. Lots Project talked about this a little bit too. So I don't even know if they've got a name for this thing yet, but Sean showed me this. He was like, "This is the coolest. You got to check this out." So he opens up this little Pelican case, which if you don't know is like a weather tight equipment case, and um, it's got a little, basically a little tablet that runs. It's like a Raspberry Pi tablet, a little detachable keyboard, a port for an FM receiver antenna, and it's got the entire, as of however recently it was updated, the entire internet in text form only on it. And it runs a kind of open source AI program. This thing is 100% offline. All that information is contained within it. And so you can type in your question. And so we were kind of playing with it and we said, what different options do we have for purifying water in an emergency situation? If, say, the power's off. And it takes a few minutes. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but it starts building out like one, two, three, four. These are your options, UV, charcoal, iodine, so on. And, and in good detail. And you can ask it then to further expand upon a particular technique or whatever. So, um, I believe this is something that they're working to scale up and have these available. So this kind of takes like sort of the similar to, like ham radio systems and things like that. And of course we can back up our information, PDFs and things like that to a thumb drive and keep them in a Faraday cage and all that good stuff. But this is, the entirety of the internet as of whenever it was updated. And when they want to update it, you can do so via an SD card. So this was really cool. And I'm sure Sean will keep me posted. So when they start getting this out, um, I'll let you know, but also check in with Brian from the Lots Project, because he really, uh, he and Sean, as soon as Sean, excuse me, as soon as Sean showed me this little device, I said, "Hang on, I got a buddy who's going to want to know all about this." And I put those two guys together and let them talk and wheel and deal and do all that. So, yeah, keep up with Lots Project. I'm sure that will be a source of future content and conversation. I'm going to take a break here just a second to acknowledge some folks who have popped in. Uh, Margot says, I think his Rock Croc presentation is up on the LFT and YouTube after the Butcher Boys. Okay, cool. So, yeah, for those who couldn't make it, you should still be able to buy a digital pass as well for all the speakers. I'm probably going to go back and buy one since I missed so much, and it's stuff that I want to see. I just didn't catch it in real time. Pippinized, thank you for stopping in. Happy Friday. And Hatfield Homestead, thank you for coming in. Melody from Cincinnati, I remember talking to you. All right, it's good to have you. Thank you so much. So that was the other thing. So I had a feeling that my kind of milling about was going to mean good conversations with people, and I did. I had several very valuable, very useful conversations. Some of the one was with Melody and Tactical Redneck and I were talking different techniques that he's been doing out at the holler to slow down water and start repairing what we have always called the wash, which was a big tiered rock shelf that comes off the ridge and is a raging river when they have heavy rain there. So yeah, we've just really enjoyed. Small talk isn't really a thing at Self Reliance Festival. Every conversation, once we kind of figure out maybe where somebody's from, it's all solutions based. It's how have you addressed this? Here's how I can fix you that. I don't hear any political griping. I don't hear there's just really not any excuse making. So, uh, on that note, I'm not sure when it'll come out, but Brian also, he sat down and interviewed me for about 15, 20 minutes as a way to continue to promote Self Reliance Festival. So he had different people coming in saying, if you could tell somebody why you should come to this event or an event similar to it, tell them why. And my biggest reason is because this is still where I find the most quality people who are in my life. Um, my only complaint is that some of them just don't live close enough, but most of them, I see them at least a handful of times a year, and that's usually enough, because when we get together, a lot of great stuff happens. And then when we as we correspond and we sort out issues and we support one another, I'm not saying I've never had good friends before. Of course I've had good friends in my life, and I still have good friends from back in the day, but I'm talking about people uh, who are part of the reason why my business has been successful, part of the reason why I've been able to sort out various bumps in the road, or even kind of miss some of them altogether. So that's why you need to do stuff like this. That's why you need to get out. It pays for itself. It's the best investment you can make if you are somebody who is really working to carve out a life that is uh, the way you want it to be. If you just want to run your own life, whatever that looks like to you, this is the kind of event that'll get you there. Um, so as Sunday was wrapping up, Nicole was hawking raffle tickets that all those donations go to the Dark Horse Lodge, which is a kind of a place of respite for military combat veterans. And so they always, people donate stuff for the raffle. People always buy tickets, give those items away. Money goes to Dark Horse, and they were working out a deal with Tim, Toolman Tim, who was the MC. And don't worry, Tim, I'm not going to tell your story on the internet because it was reserved for that audience only. But Tim said if somebody bought $100 worth of tickets, he would tell the most embarrassing story of his life. And I waved a $100 bill, and Tim told the story. And yes, it was worth it. It was worth it. Not only did I get to donate that money, I also won stuff too. So that was pretty nice. I won 2 life straws, a bone broth, packets of freeze-dried bone broth. It's really good. I had my first one yesterday. And I also won the it's a card game called World Without Rule of Law, WROL, and it's like a kind of a strategy, what would you do in this scenario kind of game, which I haven't opened yet because I think I'm going to wait until Angel gets back home. So I don't think I mentioned it yet. Pip and Ice, thank you so much for the thumbs up. Hey guys, please try to remember to do a thumbs up. I am starting to get a little bit of traction on the channel. I am working to get a little more regular content out, and that just puts a few more eyeballs on things. And you guys know how it works, and I appreciate your time. And I do not take your attention lightly. You are sharing your time, which is your life force energy, with me, and that means a tremendous amount. So I got this card game, and I kind of want to look at it. Maybe I'll look at it tonight because I'm trying to kind of wind myself down after the live here. If it's a good idea to look at this kind of card game. So I have been left unattended. See, Angel is out of town. She's up in Ohio visiting her family. Her sister just had her 3rd child, and it's her parents' 50th anniversary. So she went up there to spend a few days with everybody. They're going to have a party, meet the baby, and all that good stuff. And nobody's monitoring me right now. So I've been good so far. I've been real well behaved. I haven't gone out and eaten a bunch of junk food or anything like that. But there's nothing like your spouse being away for a couple of days to make you realize, and I know how much Angel does. Trust me, I know. But it's like, man, like the fact that I have to like stop and cook my food, like stop and make a meal, and scoop the cat box and do the dishes and a lot of stuff that it's not that I never do these things, but Angel does more of it because I'm usually, either out here doing farm stuff or off site on a job. So it's always quite the reminder of of how much she does to help keep this whole thing going. So I miss her, but I also don't think I should be reading messed up scenarios while my wife is 6 hours away, because I always send her off with the get home bag and all that kind of good stuff. So um, but generally speaking, I'm positive and I don't worry too much. And I just worry a little bit while she's in transit, because it can be a little crazy out there sometimes, don't you guys think? With bridges coming down and weird stuff happening. And oh, the eclipse. That's what we got to talk about next. But I got to talk about my foraging class on Monday. So back last year, after I'd done foraging classes at Self Reliance and at Nicole's workshop, there was this was definitely a thing people wanted to do. There was a lot of interest. There was a lot of requests for it. And so I decided to step up my game and put together about a 4-hour class that would include, I wanted to go a little beyond just this is this plant, this is that plant, this is what you can use it for, this is the part that you eat. So I put together a route through basically the perimeter of the SOE property, like if you've been out there, just outside the fence, and then a part of it at an adjacent property that John says is, we can we were could have access to it. It wasn't going to be a case of trespassing or anything like that. I had 3 people in the class, which was fine. I think initially we had more, but apparently a bunch of people didn't show up to the event altogether because of the whole eclipse thing. So there's that, and make of that what you will. I kind of kept forgetting that it was happening, but we did. We had a great time on Monday. So the 3 of us started at the main gate at SOE and went up and over the hill, through the woods, over towards a pond and a wetland area, and then kind of pulled like a J shape back into the back of the campground. So we were basically on disturbed dry land, with kind of a different soil structure, like a very disturbed soil structure. The section through the woods, these woods have not been altered by man, by machinery, in 40 or 50 years, as best I could tell. Like there's some pretty big old trees in there. You could tell it's an old homestead. There's still, bits of fencing and things like that. Some building remnants, some foundation and things of that sort. And then a section where John has had the sheep in and out, depending upon what time of year and that sort of thing. And we got into how to harvest some things, how to know when to harvest. Timing was a lot of it. How to know when something is ready, how to forage with respect to the land. And because we were finding some things in these woods that was, I would not consider them weeds. Like we found some ramps, we found some stuff that is kind of not your garden variety stuff. And so this was an opportunity to kind of go into how do we leave things better than we found it? How do we forage in such a way that we propagate these kind of plants that in some areas could be threatened due to development and things of that nature, or overharvest? And how do we, kind of disperse seed or split rhizomes and things of that nature? And we just kept it at like a nice, easy pace, answered a lot of questions, had a really good time. And so, and I got good feedback from them. And I'm also, in addition to all that, I am putting together a document. So this is going to double as kind of a document for the students. Like, this is what we found. This is what we know about it. That has some additional links and things that'll be useful. And the photos are GPS tagged, and that document is going to go to John and Amanda, and they will have the beginnings of a document, because I'm going to keep adding to this. I'm going to do this again in October, and we can get more into the trees and things like that. And that'll be their document I mean, obviously I'm not going to get everything, but I'm going to get as much as I possibly can. I probably won't be out there in the summer. We'll see. We'll try to figure that out. but it'll be documentation of these are the things that are in your area. This is what you can use them for. All those fine details. And as Amanda, who she's also started her own mercantile business, she's gotten really into wild crafting and herbalism, and so there's going to be quite a bit of stuff that she'll be stoked to know is either on her property or adjacent to it. Hippocrates Garden. Yes, so the book Braiding Sweetgrass talks a lot about First Nations philosophy on wild harvesting. Actually, I have the book. Angel has read it. I have not had a chance to read it yet. I'm probably going to need to bump that up my list with this foraging thing being more of a bigger part of the business now, because there's a lot of, it's like anything, there's a lot of opinions on this. On my property currently, everything that I forage, it's all stuff that is really prolific, even probably considered weedy or invasive. I don't have too much of anything that could be considered threatened. And what I do have, I know how it needs to be cared for and propagated and on and so on. But it makes that book makes a really good point. So um, I'm gonna get woo here for a minute. I'm a pretty grounded guy. I very much operate in the material world, but I do believe that everything has a spirit. Everything is more than just the material that we experience. And so I do believe that plant medicine ought to be respected and acknowledged and appreciated and thanked. And I am working personally to slow myself down on this and not just have the attitude of, oh, I need to go harvest this thing before I'm out of time and it's no longer in season or whatever. I need to acknowledge uh, the role that plant has. So uh, I think personally, I think people can look at this from a variety of angles. If you are Christian, then I would expect that you believe that God gave us these things to help us with our health and for healing. And if you have a more indigenous religious background, it's basically the same concept. So I think when I really dig down into this, what I think I'm trying to help people do is, one, yes, like learn things and learn to see patterns and learn to recognize what something is. um i I don't want to try to push a of course I don't want to try to push a belief on somebody. I'm an anarchist. That's like the antithesis of everything that I am. But I would like to try to help people make connections with nature. So whether that's just learning a couple of trees or getting more in depth with, the spirit of the land, that's something that I'm really working to cultivate better and verbalize better, which I'm kind of doing a crap job of doing right now. But that is important. I don't want my classes to just be, you know, this is a such and such, and you can make this meal with it. That's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I'd like to take it just a little bit more in depth. Hippocrates says, I like the audiobook. I've listened to it at least 3 times because the author reads it and you get the words and her inflections and emphasis, which just adds to it. Um, I think I got some digital credits. I think an audiobook, I will get through an audiobook faster this time of year than I will a physical book, because I'll read for 5 minutes in the evening before I go to bed, and I just fall asleep reading all the time. So thank you for that. That that book gets, I've noticed this book gets referenced in multiple kinds of social circles, because I operate in permaculture circles, prepper circles. I'm around a lot of people who are Christians. I'm around a lot of people who are pagan, and all kinds of in between. And additions to that, and there's even people who are agnostic or atheist, and this book still gets acknowledged. So I think it must have really struck a chord with people. And thank you for bringing that up. I will. I'll make sure that gets pushed up on the list. All right, so that's kind of where I'm going with these classes. I think I wanted to get a few under my belt because I'm still new to teaching this, and I was able to get a lot of good feedback from the students on Monday. Um, and I think I'm beginning to recognize how I can be a better teacher. I see patterns real easily, and I will remember visual patterns easier than words. That's just kind of how my brain works. So once we were about 3/4 of the way through the class, we were in an area where, just like anywhere, we were seeing a lot of the same stuff that we saw earlier. And so I started pointing at things and said, okay, what do you guys think this is? And I was keeping it because I had people that were like from Wisconsin and things. So there might be, some things that are going to be a little bit different. I tried to keep it real broad and general. And it was so cool. It was so cool to see them look at it and study it and try to pick out the details. And even if they weren't right, or maybe they were close, things that kind of look similar, um, that was really valuable feedback for me. So I'm going to keep working on these classes. I'm going to keep making them better. I appreciate everybody who has come along through this, because I this has just always been an interest of mine. Ever since I was a little kid, I've always just been fascinated with the natural world, and so it's natural to me to want to share it. But I also want to make sure I'm doing it correctly, in a way that's respectful for the people and the land and the critters and the plants and all that good stuff. The last thing I want is and I don't think that this is all that common, but I just don't want people to have this very take, like it's real common in a lot of indigenous culture. And this is a overgeneralization, but I've read enough at this point and spoken with enough people. For what it's worth, I do have actual Cherokee ancestry that I can prove, and so I grew up listening to these stories from my grandmother, my great grandmother, and it's very typical and even expected that if you take something from nature, you need to give something in return. And so that's something that I am going to be incorporating. Sometimes uh, it's like a little bit of cornmeal. I mean, it doesn't have to be something exact, but it's you are representing the exchange of value. And I think the prepper and homesteading community is pretty good at this. They kind of get this already. There's trading and bartering is really common, and it's just kind of an extension of that. So I'm going to keep working on these classes for you guys, and I'm always happy to receive any input if there's something y'all think I could do better. For a while there, I was so focused on um, making sure I was giving accurate information, which of course is very important. I don't want anybody to get sick or hurt or whatever. I don't want to be incorrect. But I want to add these other aspects in as well. So the Monday class was great. By the time that class was wrapping up, the eclipse was starting to happen. Now, here in Tennessee, we were not anywhere near like the totality or whatever. And like I said earlier, this is not a big deal to me. I wasn't buying into all the hype and the theories and all this and that. And I won't dispute that celestial events can eventually have some kind of effect on outcome of things, but typically eclipse when an eclipse happens, there's not like something that happens right then and there. It's like an extended thing. So I was retracing the route that we had just gone through so I could get my GPS tagged photos for the document. So I was just out there by myself, which was nice after peopling quite so much. And and I could just kind of tell, because I never bought the eclipse glasses or anything, but the clouds kept passing through. We kept getting like the occasional kind of thunderstormy looking cloud, and it would pass over, and then you could see kind of the beginning of it. By the time I popped out of the back of the woods, Amanda and some of the SOE employees were out front, and their film guys were out there, and somebody had an extra pair of glasses. And I looked at it a couple of times, It's okay. I mean, it's just some things just don't really rock my world all that much, and I guess the eclipse was one of it. You know, for if people think it's cool, then it's cool. It's cool for you. I kind of sort of saw the one that we had in 2017. I was still working on the ambulance then, and we were kind of in the middle of a call, but between being in the house and coming out to the truck, we could kind of see it, and we could kind of see it for a couple minutes at the hospital. But uh, what was interesting was that all the animals got real quiet. All the chickens got real quiet. Even the guineas got quiet. The lighting, it's not like it got dark. It wasn't even like it was like dusk. It was this very, it was like there was a filter on, which obviously there was. So it's kind of this weird, the shadows looked strange. And by that time I was just ready to get on the road. So I was on the road for the last little bit of it. And fortunately nobody on the road. I didn't see anybody on the road being stupid or like stopping in the road or anything like that. It actually just seemed like everybody in the Camden area was just like going to work and doing their thing. So, Margot says it was pretty cool in Paducah. Yeah. Um, we were really on the edge of kind of how direct it was going to be. Like I said, I just kind of forgot it was a thing. Um, and I guess there's not supposed to be another one for 40 years or something like that. So, eh, whatever rocks your world, I guess. So, uh, Mr. Ben, thank you for popping in, Mr. Ben. Oh, I did forget another event while I'm thinking about it. If anybody in the Knoxville area is watching, tomorrow at the Sustainable Future Center, we're having a shindig. I think it's an anniversary party for the center. Pretty cool place. Lots of good people there. David Bolt is a good buddy who has helped me out quite a bit with the business. Sent me a bunch of work, helped me source quite a few things. So I think we're going to have music and food and fellowship and all that good stuff. So I'll be out there I think it's from 1 to 5. You guys can see, literally, this is what my schedule is like. Everything has to be on the calendar. I am almost scheduling myself hour by hour. It's a bit much right now. I don't want it to slow down because I kind of need the work, but I'm a little, it's a little bit bonkers. The spring really, really took off. So as soon as I got home from Camden, um, well, I had a work day lined up immediately after, and I'm actually okay with the fact that it rained and stormed all day because I was so behind, and I needed to unpack and transfer. Every time I travel, all the tools have to come out of the Jeep, all the camping gear goes in. I get back, all the tools have to go back in, and keep everything situated. So yeah, I got to play catch up on Tuesday, which was nice because I was also trying to help Angel get ready to be out of town and make sure that the Toyota was in good order and all that good stuff. A couple of weeks ago, we dropped $800 for new tires, alignment, the oil change, and a couple of other road safety things for the Toyota. So, oof, inflation, you guys, man. I don't go to the grocery store very often. That's usually an Angel thing, and but I went yesterday after class, and it's just. I mean, I know you guys know this, but it's just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. Um, Hippocrates is asking, yeah, tires are no joke. I remember being able to get tires for about $45 a piece back when I had my 1994 runner. New tires, 150 bucks, done. They also seem to last a lot longer. And that was the inexpensive tires. And I would get 6 or 7 years. And I went back and looked, pulled the date. 4 years to the day was what we got off of 4 years and 30,000 miles. I looked it up. That's how long those previous tires lasted. Is that good? I don't know. That just seems. I seem to remember getting tires that were supposed to be like 60,000 mile tires, but yeah. So, I mean, to be fair, like for before I got the Jeep in 2021, I mean, I drove the dickens out of that Toyota, and I was pulling a trailer quite a bit of the time too. So there was that. Um, and we've got a gravel driveway, and Knoxville roads suck. So, but it's just like, man, and they weren't just like kind of need to be changed. They were starting to see some wire on the inside, so it needed to be done. Margot was asking about the webinar. I am okay, and I think I mentioned at the start, but for those who popped in a little while ago, I'm doing a foraging webinar. Forgive me, I'm going to cheat and look at my phone. For living free in Tennessee on. I'm doing it on Saturday, April 20th. April 20th. And about 6 p.m. is what I asked Nicole to set it up for. That'll be 6 Central, I think. So yeah, guys, well, I'm sure it'll go on her mailing list. So just keep an eye on that, and I'll try to remember to put out a reminder too. So I've got a little more time to finish putting that particular presentation together. Yeah, we did the tires, all that good stuff, and also, as soon as I got back home, I had one of my former customers message me wanting to know if I wanted rabbits and chickens. They were going to have to rehome the animals due to illness and needing to focus on treatment and recovery. And I sort of kind of had some infrastructure ready to go because I've kind of been in the background thinking, oh yeah, we need to add rabbits. We feed Trip, the dog, raw anyhow. And normally I just buy chicken backs and some organ meat from our co-op. But Rabbit would be the nearly free way of doing it. And she loves rabbit because she's constantly trying to catch the wild ones that are all over the place around here. So I told the lady yes. And yesterday went out and came back with 15 rabbits. And they're all in the same hutch right now. And I'm sure somebody who does rabbits is going to have a cow. But these are the most tame rabbits that I have ever handled. I've done a couple of rabbit processing classes with some friends. So I've handled them before, been around other people's systems. And so the plan tomorrow, since I'll be home long enough to do this, is to check every single rabbit, figure out how that rabbit identifies. I will figure out who I want to keep as breeders and who's going to become food rabbit, because I cannot be breeding 15 rabbits. Good God. I mean, God, I don't even want to do that rabbit math. I would be like overcome. I would just be buried in rabbits. So, and the ones that will be the grow outs for food will go into mobile shelters. And I'm picking up 2 of those tomorrow from a buddy. So the hutch is big enough for everybody right now. It's not ideal indefinitely, but it's working for now. They seem to be fine. I have not noticed any issues with aggression or anything. Everybody's real calm. I can pick everybody up. Nobody really loses it when I pick them up. So, and the hutches, they're on the coated wire and all that kind of good stuff. So, it's just, I want them on the ground for one thing. So I want rabbit poop on the ground. And so a good, the general idea at this point is to sex everybody. I hope YouTube doesn't shut me down for saying that. And to split them up, do the tractors, and then I've got all the components. I just need to put it all together. A capture system for their manure and urine to do the vermicomposting. So I am going to try very hard to get most of that done tomorrow, between going to an event, making a new sheep paddock, and it might be one of those nights where I'm working with a headlamp on. We'll see. Yeah, rabbits are tribbles. That's absolutely true. And I will say, as soon as those rabbits were all in that hutch together, they immediately went to doing what rabbits do. So that kind of made, I was like, well, okay, that one is most definitely a female, and the other one must be a male. And I was talking to my buddy Josh, who has been doing rabbits for quite some time, and he's probably going to be one of my rabbit mentors. Um, I was just saying, yeah, I got to figure out, who's male, who's female, and go, get all that sorted out. And he just wrote back taco and donut. And I didn't know if he was having a stroke or what. And I was like, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. And and I've already mixed it up and I got to go back and look at it. But I think is it the male sex organs look like a donut and the female looks like a taco? I'll double check, but I'll keep you guys posted. So, yeah, tomorrow I am upending rabbits and examining components. So that'll be fun. That'll be fun. They're real cute. I mean, I gotta say it. They're real cute. It's just a blend. One of them looks like a Florida white. I think there's a couple of silver fox. There's probably some kind of New Zealand mix. So I actually do have somewhere on my shelf. I have a pretty good rabbit book, and so I'll kind of figure out who everybody is, and I'll get more stuff up about them. And as if that wasn't enough, they also need to rehome chickens, and I'm picking them up tomorrow late afternoon. 9 chickens, and they're going to go into another mobile shelter. I've got one that I've had for a while. It needs a little bit of repair, but pretty much it's hopefully just an hour of work, and it'll be ready to rock and roll. And I'll be following the sheep. I'll be following the sheep with the chickens, with the laying hens. Those are, I believe they're red comments. I saw them yesterday when I was loading the rabbits, which I had comments at the Urban Homestead, and I really like those chickens the best. I thought they were great. So, I went from saying, well, I think I'm just going to do the sheep for a little while, because that's pretty much keeping me busy. But, sometimes things just work out, and who knows? I mean, I think it's a good move. If I find that I just have too many rabbits, it's not like I don't have people I can't transfer them to. So, it's not really a big deal. And, just the benefit of their manure alone into the gardens, into the soil, will be fantastic. So I'm pretty happy about it, actually, even though it made my schedule get a little bit busier. Let me check my list here. I've got, yes, the Shio thing. Okay. One more kind of bit of what's going on out here. I had a extended conversation with Mom and Dad a couple of days ago, and working on helping them get their estate stuff sorted out. As as happens, people age, and I have just kind of asked Dad if he could start working on this, so that things are not unduly complicated or difficult or unclear should they pass away. So what I really want is to just go ahead and obtain this 10 acres here that we're currently renting. So we're currently renting this land from Dad. The business rents it, and we also take care of the property taxes. So I just, in case it wasn't clear, I told Dad yesterday, I said, it is my intention, it is absolutely what I want to do for the rest of my life, is to live right here on this 10 acres and make it better than it's ever been before, using regenerative and permaculture principles. I want to bring people here to learn. I want to teach them. I want to have a demonstration site. I mean, this is already happening, but this is what I want to continue to do. And I am strongly considering, as a thing for my later 40s and into my 50s, I would like my retirement plan to be an actual regenerative nursery. We have road frontage, nice road frontage down on the end, and I think a very lean, tightly. I'm trying to figure out how I want to say this. Nurseries, your typical plant nursery has a gigantic waste stream of plastic, of water. Holy cow. So I would like to do a very tightly focused food, forest, and perennial native plant based nursery. Small, a couple of high tunnels, a little shop, and do the you know the simple propagation methods and that sort of thing, and provide these things that continue to grow in demand. So that's what I want to do, and I just kind of feel like, and I mean I've talked to my parents about this. So it's not like I'm talking about things I haven't discussed with my parents. I feel like in order for me to move forward on that, I need this property to be in my name. It's not that I don't have permission to do stuff. Dad has granted me permission to do pretty much everything I've wanted to do out here, but uh, this, there's when it comes to getting into the paperwork for these things, filing for business licenses and things of that nature, when you're going to have a physical structure that is a business, it would just simplify things. So we are going to continue to discuss that. And of course, make sure, my brother's included in this discussion as well, because he also lives out here, and just make sure everybody's on the same page and everything's on the up and up. And we're going to keep moving forward on that. I also want to do this education center here, which requires a couple of structures, but I'm also starting to wonder if it doesn't make sense to have the property transferred before I do that. Hippocrates, I'm afraid I don't know what a mini Zaytuna is. If you're still in there and you don't care to expand upon that, I'd be happy to hear about it. So yeah, I got a lot going on. I've got 2 more consults scheduled next week. I've got another pretty sizable install that I'm at to start, fully planning out towards the end of April. And I'm going to be at the Living Free in Tennessee workshop in the middle of Zaytuna. That's Lawton's place. Okay. I don't think I ever knew the name of his place, but yeah. I just, that's just really what I want to go for. Minnie Mills says, beautiful dream. Do you think there would be a place for a nursery package homestead kit made up of native fruit, nut, perennials, herbs, medicinals, and even Tennessee-specific seasonal annuals? Absolutely, there is. And I know this because I have to design these things and I have to source stuff from all over the place, which is fine. And I have, at this point, I've built up pretty good relationships with other individuals in the community. So I would like to, but I'm still kind of sourcing stuff from hours away. To get local thing. And it can be really hit and miss, because obviously some people, they don't keep massive amounts of stock. So when it's out, it's out. And a big part of growing native and permaculture is that you are doing things when they are in season, when it makes sense to do so. And it's like around here, I have the most difficult time getting sometimes customers and potential clients to understand that we need to be planting trees in the fall and the winter. It's not that you can't plant them in the spring and summer, but you give those trees such a better opportunity to set their roots if you plant in the fall and winter. So if I have the stock on hand that I have already developed, and I haven't, I've got time into it, but I haven't, I don't buy stuff for an installation until right before it happens, because I don't ever want to be sitting on stock. For one thing, there's like inventory stuff that can happen with taxes. It's a nightmare. I don't want to be sitting on stock that I then have to keep alive in less than ideal conditions. So, I will, I kind of get everything at the last minute. Well, if you get stuff at the last minute, there's always a chance that it's going to be out, especially for a lot of this stuff that's in high demand in this kind of food forest installation type of deal. Or, then you're going to your next option, then your next option. And, you've quoted it for this price, but it costs twice as much at this other place. And, so I would really like to be able to have packages like that. I know Billy Bond in North Carolina is starting to do that. And actually, I think he said he was looking. When I talked to him last fall, he said he was looking for better land to do that on because their current land is not really suitable for high tunnels and things of that nature. So I would be interested to see um, how I could do something like that because, frankly, um, this is what I like to do. I like to propagate stuff. I call it piddling. I like to tinker with trees and shrubs and different kinds of wildflowers and other native things, and I like to dig things and transplant them and mess around with alternate ways of propagating. So yeah, I'm not too worried about is there going to be a demand? I think there most certainly will be. Um, and if not, well, I'll tell you what, I don't know of a nursery that's ever gone out of business unless it was just because they didn't run their margins right and they had actually like bad business practices. But I think the demand is there just because of the amount of work I have to go through to source stuff. That is actually kind of one of the biggest stressors when it comes to these installations is trying to get a hold of things because I really try to get as much stuff local from people within my community first, um, and then go to like your kind of not big box stores, but your sort of other chain nurseries around here. That's like Mayo or something like that. And then yes, Ping's asking about Mennonites. Yeah, we do. I mean, they're a little bit far from me. Um, uh, McMinn County, Tennessee is known as the nursery capital of the world, but that's still like 2 hours for me to drive. So sometimes it may make sense. Like maybe I take a weekend and I go load up a bunch of stuff, or I go out to Centerville to Matt Hunley's place, Centerville Farm, and get stuff from out there for an installation coming up the following week. But it's like I said, um, there's such a the random factor is kind of a thing because that is kind of the thing about doing this kind of design work. I have to help my customers understand that it's not like going to Amazon where you can find everything for, it's a lot. It can be a lot more precise than that. So that's kind of that is just something that I'm keeping as a strong possibility because I don't really plan to have any kind of retirement. I mean, I don't plan to just like quit working unless I'm dead. I would like to have a financial plan where, I can operate at a reasonable pace, but I just don't really care. I'm not going to golf. I'm not going to go on cruise. That's just not what I do. I want to be able to putter around on my land until I keel over. I think this would be a smart way of doing that. So I'll keep you guys posted. We're talking big pipe dreams here, but you know what? My current situation, I have my own business, off-grid home. I have no mortgage. If you told me this 6 or 7 years ago, I'm not sure I would have believed you that it would have happened. So it makes these other goals a lot less daunting when I think about it. It's the elephant, one bite at a time. Hippocrates says, singing on the big plot, when I get it, start with laying out and planting a variety of rootstock for the fruit and such that I want. See which ones establish, then the next year top work them. Yeah, I mean that it's as simple as that. And to a degree, I'm already doing that. I'm already propagating things. I'm already seeing which trees stay happy that can become rootstock. What can become used for scions and that sort of thing. Watching which flowers, which perennials easily return every year, things of that nature, and then not try to, if something just fails, and it's not because I messed up, but if it just fails, then I'm probably not going to try to persist in it. Like the asparagus that I got, it just hasn't done all that well, and I'm pretty sure I did everything right. I'm going to try a different kind. Actually, I'm going to try a kind that's on one of my customers' job sites that's been there for a few years because it's been utterly neglected and it's been incredibly prolific this spring. So I'm going to figure out what those are, some kind of purple variety, and try that. So yeah, let me get another comment here. Your home becomes a living prototype. With the installs, I've been mostly forced to focus on zone 0 to 2 permaculture design kitchen gardens because of the difficulty sourcing native perennials. Yeah, that's really it. Uh, here in Tennessee, there are so Stanley's will carry some. There's a place called Overhill Gardens, and they're down in Overhill Gardens is in it's south of here. It's going towards Chattanooga. I'm having a blank on the name of that little town. And then there's Tennessee Naturescapes, which is in Clinton. And I'm sure there's others, and the whole native thing is becoming a little more popular, and we're seeing more stuff. But those are the ones that are like Overhill and Naturescapes are exclusive native. And I don't need to do fully native design, but I do want to stick with stuff that is situated and going to do well in the southeast, and you know and go mainly perennials. I love the idea of having packages. I mean, I absolutely love it. So we'll just keep pushing forth, and we'll just see what happens. But I'm pretty encouraged about it. And Pip and I've never heard this before. I cuss, you cuss. We all cuss for asparagus. I love asparagus. I used to hate it as a kid because I never had it fresh. I only had it out of a can at school, and it tasted like slime. And man, fresh asparagus. The few spears I do get down here, they don't make it to the kitchen. I just eat them right then and there. I snap them off and I eat them, and they're so stinking good. Mill is asking, will you have any seasonal annuals or turn away from them? I probably will not. I'm not going to worry about it right now, really, but I could see, because I always go on a seed starting frenzy of like the San Marzano tomatoes and a few different kinds of peppers and things. So yeah, I it could happen. Anything can happen. You give me a box of seeds and stuff's just going to happen. It's just, it's like the happiest of Carrie is me starting seeds and making little plants go. So yeah, one step closer. I was the same way about Brussels sprouts until I had them cooked correctly. That's really true. I like them on the Blackstone. I like doing Angel started doing these kind of roasted veggies a few years ago, and now we kind of do them on the Blackstone, different root vegetables, and then throw in some Brussels sprouts and asparagus as everything else is starting to get tender. Man, good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, guys. So, oh man. Well, I've been going for almost 2 hours. No, hour and 17. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap things up here. I will keep you guys posted. As far as I know, we'll be able to do it again next Friday. And then after that, I'll be in Middle Tennessee. So we might just do one from the Living Free in Tennessee workshop. That's the next thing. That's the next thing I'm going to be away for. And then I'm doing my very, very, very best to stay put in town until the East Tennessee Homestead Alliance event in July. And actually, that is within driving distance. So we've got a lot of stuff to take care of around here. I'll let you guys know about the rabbits and the chickens. If you're in the chat and you're not in the Telegram group, it should be in the episode description when it posts up. You can join the Telegram group. We just talk about whatever we want over there. We're pretty solutions oriented. Everybody shares what they're up to, talk best practices and things. Today, I discovered that I was really glad I bought a little miniature planting auger that fits on my impact drill. It made this job go so fast today. So fast. I thought it was going to take me 2 days to do it, and I wrapped it all up today. So if you do bare root trees or, like 1 gallon potted perennials, get you a little planting auger that runs on your drill. Trust me. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. I appreciated your time, and I enjoyed talking with y'all. And we'll catch you next time.